Hello anybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie. I'm Mr. Devious, or just Deeb, and in the last episode we got the first 5 Jiggies of Mad Monster Mansion, and in today's episode we're going to be collecting the rest of them. Also, the bees around that honeycomb nest are not moving. They're too far away, but they can be drawn but not animated. That's hilarious. Anyway, we're going to start our trek back towards the mansion through the maze, and to get to the maze we are going to jump right off the chapel. So I already busted the gate down, so that's, I guess, important. So now that we've jumped off, that's the highest point in the level. We've gotten all the chapel-associated jiggies, as well as one in the cellar, and then another one that we got for doing something else, although I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, when you come, it's very important to come in here, and I just say that because there is a Jinjo in here, I believe, but there is also notes in here. There's a fair number. There's not actually that many notes, but there are goodies in here. It's actually interesting, though, because aside from the Jinjo and the notes and a few Mumbo tokens, there's no Jiggy associated with this maze. It's just kind of here, which, you know, I'm okay with. I like mazes like overhead with like a pencil drawing maze or something, but I'm not. I mean, this is kind of close to that, so. You know, I was gonna say that I don't like mazes, but actually I kinda do like mazes, so I'm full of crap. Never mind me. Never, ever mind what I ever have to say. So I think I actually got all the notes in there. I think there were only like 4, and I think I got them all. Well, if I don't have all the notes by the end of the level, then I will go back in there possibly, because this is the 7th world of the game, Mad Monster Mansion. This is where collecting notes is going to get more challenging, it's going to take more time, and it's going to take more than just going around the level at a regular pace. You are going to have to do quite a bit of effort. Quite a bit of effort, yes, right. Actually, by this point in the game, it did get very hard on the N64 version of the game to get through the level and not die and collect everything. And I say not die and collect everything because in the N64 version of the game, stuff reset if you did not, if you died or left the world, like you'd have to get all the notes again. Xbox Live Arcade version of the game, of course, neuters some of the difficulty. Portrait Chompas are just as easy to deal with as their counterparts in Clanker's Cavern if you just peck toward the portrait. Anyway, you'll see that there is a honeycomb piece down here, but we are too big to get it. We will get that later, a little bit later, but for the time being, we actually want to knock out as many of the windows on Mad Monster Mansion that we can, and all of the entrances in. There are 2 on each floor, I think, in through the windows. 2 on the first floor, there's one down there. Let's knock that out while we're down here. Actually, let's check around the side to see if there's another, because I know we've knocked out the window on the front. Actually, while we're here, let's just clear out these areas that we can. Look at these portraits of Gruntilda that are being torn open and immediately repaired. It's kind of eerie, actually. This pirate is actually related, in this portrait, is related to the development process of Banjo-Kazooie. Before Banjo-Kazooie was Banjo-Kazooie, it was a project known as Project Dream, which was going to be a Super Nintendo title, and it was going to be a much different game than Banjo-Kazooie, where you would actually play as a human player, a human character, and I'm not sure if you had a bird ally like Kazooie, but I remember the villain was supposed to be a pirate, and it was the pirate in those portraits, and that pirate would return in Banjo-Tooie. However, for this game, all we get of him is a few portraits. Anyway, we're back in this spooky, haunted mansion, and burning ourselves on the flames. You gotta be careful about those. As I said in the last episode, a lot of the enemies, particularly the skeletons and the ghosts, are undead, and therefore you cannot kill them unless you use the Wonder Wing. Apparently the Wonder Wing has holy alignment. Okay, I'm done. But it is interesting that in games, in a lot of platformers, the solution to undead enemies or respawning enemies, or basically invincible enemies, is invincibility of your own. And this usually applies to undead enemies, because if you're going to have an invincible enemy, it's usually going to be an undead. Have we already gone in here? Yes, we have. Have we gone in the other side? But yeah, if a game is going to have anything be invincible, it's going to be the undeads. And this, I'm mostly talking about Mario when I'm thinking about this. Never mind the triumphant music. That tells you that there was, in fact, a stop and swap egg in here. And you might have noticed something in here when we were looking around and we want to go in the bath. The egg was actually on top of the toilet. And the toilet is this guy. This is Logo the toilet. He is kind of a legacy character for Banjo-Kazooie. He appears in the next game, he appears in this game. He's kind of one of the most infamous characters in the game. If you want to know how to talk to him, you can. he's a toilet with eyes, you gotta stand in the water, and he'll be like,
That is much too fat to fit in Logo's mouth.
that's not a good... whatever. I'll try another voice when I come back. Great, now I gotta think about a voice for a toilet. That's absolutely fantastic. Actually, Logo is another example of Rare not being afraid to go with quite literally potty humor. They're not afraid with toilet humor. They are not afraid to broach that subject, whereas other games might be. And we've seen signs of this because they always talk about Gruntilda's long johns or her underwear or something, and it's always kind of really gross and uncomfortable, but it just kind of shows what Rare is like, yeah, we don't care. We don't care. Anyway, we've cleared out the what we can so far in these areas. Now, we will actually be doing something with Logo in a little bit, because he's not just a toilet with eyes that tell you you're too big to be flushed down. He will be something, and you probably may have guessed what it is, and you may be saying, oh, please no, and you're probably right, but I'm just not going to spoil anything. Anyway, we come to this big bedroom, which I guess is Grunty's bedroom, and this room is actually associated with a glitch I was talking about in the last world that prevents you from getting all the notes in the game. In Banjo's house, and we're going to be going back and doing this, there's a mini game, and in that mini game there's actually a moving image of Banjo walking around this room, and those notes that we just picked up over here, in the moving image, he picks up those notes. And because the Xbox Live Arcade version of the game saves your notes when you pick them up, the game registers them as collected when Banjo picks them up in the portrait, but doesn't add them to your total. So basically, if you play that minigame and Banjo picks up the notes in that picture game, you can't get those notes, and then you can only get 896 notes in this game and be locked out of 100% completion. And I found this out the hard way on my first file that I played on the Xbox Live Arcade version of this game. I keep saying the long form, and it's actually a little bit frustrating. It's not a deal breaker because thankfully this game is short enough that it's not that huge a deal, and you don't actually need all 800 or all 900 notes to get everything in the game, although there is an achievement for it associated on this version of the game. Anyway, we've gotten all the Jinjos now, so we are just going to be collecting our Jiggy, which brings us up to 6. First Jiggy in this world, actually. And like I was saying, now that we're on the 7th world, the levels are pretty long. We're almost at 10 minutes, and we've only got the 6th Jiggy, whereas the last episode took up a fair amount. So yeah, you can see that these worlds are longer. Anyway, we take that. I should actually show this guy off and not just go and get the Jiggy, but basically, this is Napper. He is up here, and if you walk on the hardwood floors, he's like, "He woke Napper while he's sleeping. I can hear someone down there creeping." So this is why I wasn't actually going in the front door of the mansion, and I actually should have done that to show this off earlier. Because if you do break in through the front door, Napper you'll have to walk on the hardwood floor, the floor will creak, and when you talk to Napper, he'll be like, "More golden prize you may not take, not while old Napper's awake." He will not let you have it. And actually, Napper's voice is Banjo's voice, it's slowed down. So this is going to bring us out the front of the mansion, and that is actually one of the first things you're probably to see when you play this level, because it's faced right against the entrance of the level, and you can go right up to it. Also, it's actually really easy to accidentally leave this level if you're not careful walking around. It's happened to me a few times. It's actually quite frustrating if you're collecting all the notes on the N64 version of the game, but no biggie. Anyway, now that we've done that, we're almost done with the Mad Monster Mansion itself. We're just going to get this Jiggy, and then there's going to be one more significant Jiggy that I can think of associated with the mansion itself. Well, maybe two. Anyway, you come up here while he's asleep, and he's like, "Grunty's cold, how it's shown. She'll be mad now it's gone."
"Yes, I'm mad, my boot I'll put up your useless spooky boot. But..."
I love it when Gruntilda interacts with other characters. It's great. She gets so frustrated when you get the Jiggies. It's great. And of course, as we fly through here, we get some pictures of some people in this mansion, and it's interesting for like fan theory. I mean, to be fair, there's a shack here with Banjo-Kazooie's face in it, but it's nice to see like Gruntilda's at the head, and I guess she has a picture of Dingpod, and then Gruntilda, the castle or the lair. Even her broomstick gets a portrait. And Mumbo? And Klungo. Actually, lore behind Mumbo, a little bit of lore, is the reason he's helping you on this journey is actually because I think it's because Gruntilda is the reason he has a head shaped like a skull, and it's not really elaborated upon in game. I think that's like instruction manual territory, but yeah, that's why Mumbo wants to help you. And speaking of which, now that we've cleared out the mansion pretty well, mostly all now done, well, good now, I'll shut up. I'm gonna go to Mumbos House. Because now that we've taken care of that, now that we've gotten all those jiggies that we could get in and around the mansion, it is time for us to do this. We're gonna get these notes. Check up here real quick to make sure that there's a golden feather up there. I'll get it. Yeah, I think it's worth it. Anyway, this is the transformation for this world. 20. It is expensive. You might be wondering what it is, because it is a spooky themed world, so it could be any number of things. It could be a ghost or a skeleton or a mummy or a Frankenstein or a werewolf, or we could be like a first grade costume and become a pumpkin.
Mumbo proud of pumpkin spell.
Make good soup. Oh my god, he's gonna eat us. Mumbo is just the meanest. So yeah, we're now a pumpkin. This is the transformation, and it's the most hilarious transformation, I'll say that. It's also one of the most useless. I mean, it lets you walk around. Like other transformations in this game, this actually lets you hop on top of hazardous areas and in hazardous areas, and we're actually going to be heading back to the well for that, I think, if we can get back there, if I can remember how to get back there. But before we do that, we actually want to come here to this very well-concealed area where there is a path up. And by coming up to this path up, we are going to be traveling along these along the grass, and actually I know what jiggy we're gonna get last, and it's not the one you might think it is. If you know this game, you can probably guess which one I'm saving for last, just because of how it stands out among the others. Anyway, you fall in here, and that's how we get our 8th jiggy. There are actually 2 jiggies associated with the pumpkin. The one that I'm gonna go get next, you don't need the pumpkin for, but I got the pumpkin for because I think it's easier that way. It's convenient. At least I think you can get it with the pumpkin. Of course, like the other transformations in this game, aside from the crocodile, the pumpkin cannot defend itself, and because you are in like the most dangerous world, one of the most dangerous worlds in the game, it is very likely you will get wrecked. These monsters will not, they will wreck you. They will beat the crap out of you if they get a hold of you. And these enemies down here, you can't do anything about them. Even if you come down here as Banjo-Kazooie, you have no way to fight them. There's no way to fight underwater. But anyway, we get all the notes. You found all 100 notes on this world. Well done! And that was actually, and yes, there's a jiggy in the bucket in the well. Yes. But you might have noticed that this is actually our first time seeing Bottles in this world. And that is because Bottles has no more moves left to teach us. We learned the last move in Gobi's Valley, so we are only going to be seeing him in these worlds whenever we collect the 100 notes. And that actually ties into how I think the worlds are kind of divided up into sets of 3, because these last 3 worlds, no bottle moves, no new moves. This is simply like mastering the moves that you have, and I can appreciate that. I can dig it. Anyway, now that we've gotten that jiggy, that only leaves one more, and I know exactly where to get it. And we got one honeycomb piece in the... Where was it? It was in the chapel, in the church. So now we just need to get the other one, which was in one of these rooms up here. And you may remember it as being under the floorboards. So that gets us that one and starts us off on the next ring of health. We almost got as much health as we can have in this game. And if you haven't been collecting these health power-ups in this game, by the way, this game actually gets pretty challenging around this part if you don't have the extra hits that you can take, because I am up by 3 whole health units since I started. Anyway, this is going to be the area for the last jiggy in the game. So you may have remembered when I came and talked to Logo that he said we were too big to fit down there as a bear. So now that we're a pumpkin, and yes, this will get... this, yeah.
Happy landings, little one.
That's not right either. Yep. If you're uncomfortable with this, like, look away for like 10 seconds or until, oh, yep. Oh, boy. Oh, this is just, oh. I'm gonna get their chompas down here, but we're just gonna get our jiggy. We're just gonna get our jiggy and get out of here. This is gross. We get the triumphant music as we are in the toilet, and we're gonna go out the way we came. This is gross. Oh god.
I can't believe you went in there. Now wash your hands, you filthy bear.
We're gonna go in the sink, and we're gonna go in the bath, because she is right. That is really gross. Oh, that's nasty. But yeah, with that triumphant music and all the notes and all the honeycomb pieces, we are now done Mad Monster Mansion, my favorite world thematically in this game. It was a lot of fun. I actually went very successful. I think that went, well, at least for me, that went fairly well. I got all the notes and didn't really have any issues. So now that we're done with this world, we are going to start setting up for the next world, as we usually do. So we're going to want to leave the world as a pumpkin, and yes, you do actually need to do this. Unfortunately, there are rippers running around now that we've unleashed them from the world, and they can catch you pretty quickly if they are so much as given the chance. Anyway, what we want to do is come down here to this crappy little hut, and in this hut, we'll meet an old friend of ours. What friend is that? Mumbo. I don't know why he's in here. He just is. And he will actually do you the favor of changing you back. And you can only get in here as the pumpkin. You were too big as Banjo and Kazooie. So I imagine if you could get in here as Banjo and Kazooie, you could do the pumpkin transformation, but I mean, I can see why you would need it, but anyway. Want to ground pound this, and this will reveal a button to us. And thankfully there was no dead bodies in here of Gruntilda's family, and this will raise the water level of the area that we needed to go through in order to unlock the portrait for Mad Monster Mansion, or at least to use it. Unfortunately, we cannot leave as Banjo and Kazooie, so we need to change back into a pumpkin. This is the only way we can leave, and that's the way we're going to leave.
Pumpkin making Mumbo hungry. Me at pot ready.
He's already taunted us once, and now he's taunting us again. And, oh, that's just terrifying. I'm actually, at this point where Mumbo and Banjo and Kazooie don't know each other that well, that's actually not really funny. I mean, from Banjo and Kazooie's perspective, I mean, I'd be terrified, but then I'm talking about what would happen if I was turned into a pumpkin. So, forget that. Now that we're done with Mad Monster Mansion and Gruntilda's summer home, we're going to be heading over this way. I wonder if the church was there. I wonder if Gruntilda's family built Mad Monster Mansion, or if she bought it, or if she's Christian, or some kind of religion, or what. It's just an interesting consideration. Anyway, we don't want to go back this way yet, because we actually want to tackle this one of the most dangerous areas in the game. Actually, I would qualify this as the second most dangerous area in the game. The next most dangerous, the most dangerous area in the game, period, will be in the next world. But we'll be getting into that next episode. I'm gonna talk to Gruntilda real quick.
Revolting Gruntilda's bedroom has smelly socks hanging from the ceiling. She also has an eyeball flower growing in a pot beside her bed. Filthy old bag. And you'd be sick if you saw her enormous sweaty yellow undies.
Ew.
Ooh, you poor dears, your energy is low. Let me fill it up for you. That's better.
Now we are healed. That was the other reason I talked to her, because she gives free health refills, so it's actually worth slogging through her words if you want the health refill. And here we have our old friend Cheeto. Cheeto Bear and Bird have found once more another spell they get.
If one more page I see you turn, then Grunty shall Cheeto burn.
Weird syntax. Nasty witches, so code I shall tell. Enter red feathers on sandcastle floor in Treasure Trove Cove.
Join me now and dump the bear. That little backpack then I'll wear.
So of course that's Gruntilda taunting us. Now that we've done that, and we've actually gotten across this terrifyingly dangerous path, it actually would behoove you and be a practical way to just jump in the lava and teleport back to the entrance to Mad Monster Mansion. But I'm not gonna do that because that's a squeeb way of doing it. Although, oh boy, it is. That actually scared me. That is actually a very legitimate way of speedrunning this game. But if you're speedrunning this game, you're also not getting the cheat codes because you don't need them. Anyway, now that we've taken care of that, we are now almost done. I am actually going to head back down to, now that we've taken care of that, I'm going to quickly head back down to Treasure Trove Cove and input that cheat, so I'll be right back. Real talk, after beating Gobi's Valley, and the fact that you have to do Mad Monster Mansion to get this cheat, after you've done like Freezeezy Peak and Gobi's Valley, where flying, spoilers, flying won't be as important for the rest of this game, this cheat, not so really that useful. Bear and bird get 100 red feathers. 100 maximum now is, but it's a good way to refill.
All my feathers, it makes me sick. Fly to me, your butt I'll kick.
And bye. And actually, we are back at the entrance to Freeze Easy Peak, because you may have remembered we hit a witch switch. And for that witch switch, Jiggy, we are gonna need to reuse this thing. This flight pad. That's exactly what they're called, yes. And now that we've taken care of that, we need to jump on here again. And jump in the air, and there's our Jiggy. However, these eyes are glass. So what better way to break it than slam in it like so. Now be careful not to fall, because then you'll need to get the flight pad again, and that's kind of annoying. And that brings us up to 8 Jiggies. Now anyway, now that we've taken care of that, it is time to head up to the next area that we were in before. So we're gonna head up this path, and now that we've taken care of Mad Monster Mansion, the next 2 worlds are the hardest in the game. Now that might be an obvious statement, well of course they are, they're the last 2 worlds, but a lot of games don't really get the scaling right in their difficulty, and actually that's something I really appreciate about Banjo-Kazooie, is that it gets the difficulty scaling so well, so very well done. They do so well with their difficulty scaling, not even gonna lie. I don't know why that came out so sinister, but I was coughing, so leave me alone. So that was the path, as you may have remembered. Oh god, fishy, fishy. This guy's name is Chump. And screw him. Now, this next area is actually kind of... I'm just gonna say this right now. Next world in the game is notorious and infamous as the hardest world in the game. A lot of people love this world. A lot of people hate this world. So, we're gonna see that. Oh god, the enemies are already loose. You might not be expecting that. I know I wasn't. But anyway, as we come up through here and prepare to get ready for the next world, I notice this video is getting pretty long, so I'm going to try and speed this up. We're going to break this rareware box and go kaboom. And we're going to hit this button. And that'll raise the water level further, and you do need to do this to open up the next world. So we need to flood Gruntilda's lair with water in this very cavernous area. I always found these cavernous areas kind of interesting, like why they're here, why they're so like this. I don't know how to describe it, but other areas of the lair seem like more finished, more well built, while these areas just kind of seem like they were left to sit. Anyway, we've opened up another shortcut that will bring us a nice little quick, oh.
It really does sound quite absurd. Adventure of a bear and bird.
I'm pretty sure a lot of her dialogue is starting to loop now, because I think we've seen most of it. Anyway, our success in the last, what we did with raising that water level, it allows us to go up here. And you might be tempted to go this way. Don't. That just leads to a grate that lets you look at the Mad Monster Mansion portrait. You want to break this grating over here, and that will open up the next Jiggy portrait thing. And it needs quite a few of them, as is to be expected. You cannot see the title on the bottom, but as you can see as this world comes into view, yes, it is a gigantic oil tanker. And the name of this oil tanker themed level, which is my favorite world in the game for its challenge, this is the infamous Rusty Bucket Bay. But if you actually want to see Rusty Bucket Bay, then I'm afraid that we are going to have to stop the episode here, and you will have to tune in next time, or play the game yourself, or watch another LP, because in the next episode, this episode's gone on a really long time, so in the next episode, we will be starting up the 8th world in the game, Rusty Bucket Bay. I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.